What's up, followers? It's your boy XO the Barber. In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the secret tips to getting those sharp, crispy lines. So as right now, you can see me taking off the blades of my trimmers, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually modify the bottom blade using the Rich the Barber 1-minute blade modifier. This is my first little hack. If you really want those sharp lines, I suggest you invest in this. Go ahead and copy it from my boy Truca the Barber at the Rich Barber Shop in Sacramento. So what you want to do is you want to put your blade in there, and you just want to rub it back and forth for about a minute. You only put your bottom blade in it, and it's pretty much like dummy proof. You put your bottom blade in it and you face the logo facing the opposite way, and you just rub it back and forth for about a minute. And as you see it, I'm holding up in the mirror and you can't really see it, but what it does is it kind of just like makes that bottom blade more thin, so it's like it's like when you're doing the lineup, it's like a pyramid is hitting the lineup versus like a triangle. Like both sides of the blade angle in at each other to make your lineups more crispy. So yeah, that's tip one. You want to just get this blade modified. So I got my blade modified, and when you start lineups, you want to start on the side of the head like you see me doing. You want to make sure that angle's nice and sharp. So you see me do the curve. That's just a nice C. Make a C curve, and I use my little tool called the gauge on the side of the head. You get the side of his head lined up first. You do that before you do the top line. That way you can set the diameters for your top line. Because if you don't set the diameters for your top line, your right side might be further back than your left side, or your left side might be further pushed back on the side than your right side. You feel me? So another thing, when you do lineups, you want to continuously brush the hair past the point of lineup. Ooh, look at the Yeezys though. Yeezy heat, Yeezy heat, Yeezy heat, Yeezy heat. What are those? What are those? Another tip: either use spritz or hairspray to hold the line in place. So after you spray the spritz, you want to just really comb those hairs really good. And we're gonna get into that top line. So I'm gonna start in the middle of my top line and create my point of reference, and I'm gonna work my way out into the left side. And what I'm doing right now is I'm continuously going from the middle to the left, making sure that each line is parallel and straight to my point of reference, which is in the middle of his head. And now I'm gonna work my way from middle to right with the same process. So when I'm doing this, I'm using now my point of reference changes from the middle to the left side of his head. I'm going left to middle, middle to right. You see, I'm trying to keep it. See those? That's what I'm looking at. You guys got any comments or questions, just leave it in the section below. I will be making a part 2 on how to do lineups. So once again, I brush his hair, and I look back and make sure the line is crispy. So now I'm gonna do a part. So for parts, a trick to doing parts and designs is to use a corner of your blade like I'm using. This trimmer right here, which is called the Anti-Sim Line Pro Li, is a really good trimmer because I'm able to hold it like a pencil. As you see, I'm holding it like a pencil, and I'm really just using that corner, the corners of my clipper to make a cut. And that's what the cut looks like. As you see, came out really crispy, straight line. This lineup technique, your lineups be straight every time, guaranteed. Let's get back into it. So once again, we're going to use the middle of his head as our point of reference to create a straight line. So I work myself from right from middle to left. And like I continuously go from middle to left, and I go left to middle, making sure each line I make is straight. Now since I did a taper on my customer, I already tapered them. When I do tapers, I already pre-line up the side of their head, so that's why you won't see me lining the side of their head first in this demonstration. So now I'm gonna go from left to middle to make sure my left side is matched up with the point of reference, which is the middle of his forehead. And now I'm gonna go from left to middle, working my way from middle to right, working my way to middle to right. And now see, I'm going back to middle, back to the right side. You want that line to be straight. You want to make that line straight. It's like when you draw a picture of a city and you have to make each line go back to the point of reference. That's how you make parallel lines. Not rocket science, it's art. So you see in the gauge, the gauge doesn't help me see the top line. It's more so for like the angle you're holding your clipper at. It doesn't work for the top line. So for the top line, I just see, as you guys see, line came out crispy as ever, nice and straight. Now we're gonna get into some facial hair. So once again, you always brush their hair in the direction that you're about to cut it. So for a goatee or any type of like beards, I kind of like to envision like a house around their lips. So as you can see, the top of his lips is obviously the roof of the house. So you kind of make it like a roof shape. You don't want to go too in on this. You want to just get the hairs off of their lips. And now for this side, you want to start on the inner part of their mouth, and on the outer part, because it's just easier. It's just easier to outline. You don't have to mess up. And you want to make every line parallel. I should be using my gauge on here, but I'm not because I don't really need it. But it's a good tool to have so you know if your lines are parallel or not. So what you're going to do is you're going to make his lines parallel. Symmetry and parallelism is very key in lining up, in the art of lining. And brush his hair. Brush his hair. I brush his hair across the lineup that I already made. That way, when I hit, like for instance, imagine this. See how I'm doing his lineup? Now I'm gonna brush hair across his line to see if there's any stragglers, and then I'm gonna cut the stragglers. So for when you do the top line, you want their customers to do their mouth just like this, kind of suck in on their lip a little bit. That way you can get the hard to reach areas. Don't be afraid to tell your customers to participate in making their haircut crispy. Why wouldn't they want to? I'm telling you that Rich the Barber Blade Modifier really has your lineups coming out crispy without you even having to adjust your trimmers. Like none of my trimmers are zero gap. So now we're gonna do the bottom line. Trim up some of those hairs. So like we're gonna make this line a straight line across. We're first gonna just make a small outline, and then we're gonna flip our clippers upside down to actually create a nice, more crispy line. Likewise. Go ahead and make a little triangle underneath his lips. And that is a fresh goatee. Billionaire Barber brand, baby. Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna jump straight into straight into a full beard. You guys should be ready for this. So like I said, I'm making his lines parallel. So I really like that gauge tool because it lets me not have to, like, I can make both sides symmetric. So now I'm lining, you see me lining his beard up, and I make sure my angles are right. And I am actually, when I do beards, I use his earlobe as a point of reference, as measurements. So you start on the back right here, back jawline, and you give that a nice 90-degree angle. And you go ahead and line in front of that up 90-degree angle also. And see, this is what I'm talking about. I use the earlobe as a point of reference. I know on the other side his lineup for his beard starts right where his earlobe ends. So that's where I'm gonna start it at. And don't be afraid to, to continuously go back and make sure that line is crispy and symmetrical. It's really all about symmetry. The face is really it's really tricky to get symmetry on. You have to use his facial structure features as points of references. Like right now I'm using his lips. I tell myself, okay, the bottom of the line, this line ends at right beneath his lips. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take that line, make sure it ends right beneath his lips. Look back at it to make sure it's perfectly symmetrical. Now we're gonna start from his hairline. So once again, we start out on the sides of the head. We hit the angles on there. It's either gonna be honestly a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle. So right now you see I'm hitting him with pretty much like a smooth 45. That side from the 45. And now I'll go ahead and create my point of reference, which is the middle. So I'm making sure that middle is really crispy. So you see I work my way out from the left. I always do this. Consistency is key. So I start in the middle, make a line, make a straight line in the middle of his forehead, and work my way out to either side. I work my way out to the left side, and I go from and I continuously go. I make a line. I go one line out of the middle, and I go one line back into the middle. I go two lines out of the middle. I go over two clippers, full clipper length blades out of the middle to the right side, and I go back over. You feel me? You have to understand what I'm saying. I'll continuously discount and double check that thing to make sure his line is crispy. That's my boy. That lineup. I love them TI liners for lineups, man. I used to swear by the wall detailer, but it would consistently break because the components are plastic. But this wall, this Andy's GTX is the one, is to go to. Especially when you modify it like that. So you never get these lined up perfect the first time. You gotta continuously go back and look at it. Just like that. So now I'm about to shave my boy up. I'm gonna use my Elegance shaving gel. You don't really need too much of this stuff. I love the Elegance shaving gel because it goes on clear, so I can really see what I'm doing, and it really makes the hair, really lubricates the skin and the hair follicles to really just take them off in one swipe. Go ahead and place your towel there. So when you do the shaves, you want to stretch their skin like you see me doing. I'll pull his skin pull their skin in the opposite way that the razor is going, to tighten the skin, to create more friction so you can cut the hair. And that's pretty much the key to shaving. That and angle and knowing how to angle your blade. If you don't know how to angle the blade by now, you definitely don't want to be watching this video trying to cut someone up. So when I'm around this area, I usually like when I do the beard, I require the customer's participation. When I'm around his lips, I'll have them any way you feel as if you can get the customer beard more crispy. Tell them, they won't really mind. It's gonna be different from what I tell them between what you tell them. I'm taller than you, or maybe shorter than you. When you're using an Elegance gel, you want to make sure that you consistently wipe it away, because sometimes the lines might look extra crispy, but they're not really. It's just because you shaved all their hair into the places that there wasn't hair. You'll see I'm having my customer pull his lips down so I can get the top of it. This is the part where you really want to get a lot of pull away from the blade in order to create a lot of tension so you can get the hair, because if you don't create the tension to cut the hair, it's going to pull the hair.